to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Motion to approve the agenda?
I'll second.
Thank you. I already forgot. Pressure button. Okay. Peter, pressure button. Is it on? Okay. All in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
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 During closed session, we had talk about possible litigation and gave guidance to the superintendent regarding negotiation. Recognition is you,
Are we recognition already?
aren't we? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so
Thank you, Jeff.
happy to report that we successfully filled the teacher in charge positions to amazing and dedicated Spreckels veterans at Buena Vista. My new right hand is Christina Jones. And at Spreckels and Amanda, they have a very strong relationship already, is Alicia Ball. So thank you. And they started officially on September 1st, but they're in the deep end already, real deep.
Individuals desiring to address the board, speaking of in the deep end. Christina, you're the top paper.
Good evening, Dr. Trello, Dr. Chris, trustees. I just wanted to give a shout out to our tech department, Dr. Gann and Mr. Lopez. They obviously have been working nonstop doing all sorts of things, but they took time out of their busy schedules this week to come to my classes. Actually, they came 2 days because we didn't get done the first day. And they met with both of my history classes. I have half the 8th grade. Most of you know how we're structured. And talked about technology, specifically artificial intelligence. So we had a really profound conversation about technology being more harmful versus more helpful. One class was almost exclusively more harmful. The other one was pretty 50-50 split, so that was really interesting. But through the conversation, I think everybody saw both the helpfulness and the harmfulness that can arise. So students learned about hacking and scamming and phishing and smishing and vishing thing. I learned terms that I hadn't heard before. And how to protect themselves, how to prevent certain things from happening, and how to protect themselves if certain things do happen. That was, they seemed really grateful for that. And then they learned how to utilize Gemini by Google, which is Google's version of ChatGPT. They're doing a colony project, and so they're using AI to help with their research. In the olden days, not like my middle school days, I did show them an encyclopedia. They were like, what's that? They use a Google search bar. They type in a search phrase, and about, 3 million websites pop up, usually, generally speaking. And we all agreed, we usually don't get past page 1. Sometimes we don't even look past number 1. So Gemini will actually search the web for them, all 3 million sites, and generate content. Then they can then put in a doc, add to, take away from, and ultimately edit and revise and publish. So they were completely astounded. And I see us doing this again in the spring for their historical argument essays. I had a couple of kids just really impressed. So teaching them how to use technology appropriately, ethically, efficiently was really great. And I could not have done it without Brianna and Jarrett. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Bree, I think there's a lot of us in the district that would like to learn something about that. So why don't you talk to this guy about seeing if there's something that you can do for the rest of us?
I saw AI for the first time today, actually. Dr. Gown and Laura were leading the equity committee. Wow. the group generated a lot of words and phrases about some topics, and then she fed it into Genesis. Is that what it's called? Gemini. Write a mission statement using these words. That was slick. It was scary slick, but it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, Genesis is the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder it didn't pop up. Yeah. First book, right? First book.
Jennifer Rutschow. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
So I just wanted to share some appreciation to the board and our admin for hiring a fantastic principal and teacher in charge. We've felt very supported, and it's been some great collaboration, making some of those bumps in the beginning of the year a little bit easier to manage. So thank you. And I know we're short-staffed, especially in the SPED department. And I just want to say I know that efforts are being made, and I just want to share that we see that and we appreciate it. So thank you for doing what you can to get us more people.
Okay, thanks.
We're trying.
And you're going to see more actions about the special ed today during the meeting. Alexandra? There's a last name here that I can't really pronounce or see. Alejandra. Okay, sorry. How do you pronounce your last name?
Lilliard.
Lilliard. Okay.
So I'm a little nervous. This is my first time to a board meeting. Is it on?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Alejandra Lilliard. So perhaps it's because I work in pediatrics and mental health that I am concerned for student and school safety after recent threats from a Spreckels student. I hear, other parents, talk about things, and I'm only a TK and first grade mom, so I don't know specific school protocols, what we are able to know about what's being done when incidents like this occur. Sure, a student could be suspended and law enforcement involved. If a student returns, they may be on a one-to-one during school hours, but who is that person that's typically assigned to the student? Are they being taken away from, or this person who is on the one-to-one or assigned to the one-to-one, are they being taken away from other student services? Like what school employee is it? If I'm being honest, myself and other parents can't help but think about what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary and the other more recent school shootings in our nation. I know that it may sound crazy to think like that right now, but myself and other parents can't help but think like that right now. And I want some sort of information to help ease my mind that our kids are safe. Thank you.
You want to respond to information? Where should she go for that kind of information?
Again, you're right that some information we just can't legally provide, but if you speak to Principal O'Hara or myself, I think we could reassure you a bit about steps that are taking place.
Yeah, so at least you can understand the context of what's going on. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. It does seem crazy that, those of us that deal in schools have to worry about those kinds of big issues, but we do. So thanks for your comments. Okay. Bargaining unit presentations. STA?
Good evening. I'm here today to speak on behalf of our students and teachers and to share some important observations and concerns. First, let me begin with some positive news. Our students and teachers at BV are truly excited about their new principal. The staff is deeply appreciative of the smooth start to the school year. Similarly, at Spreckels, we are thrilled to have Amanda O'Hara, who was once our colleague, now leading us as our new principal.
You got claps.
Wow.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You're going to write that down, huh?
Thank you. Sorry, I'm needy today, very needy.
The transition has been very smooth, and the start of the school year has been filled with uplifting spirit. For this, we extend our heartfelt thanks to both of you. However, I must address a critical issue that is approaching a crisis point, and that is our district is currently facing severe challenges in hiring our special education aides. As a result, the general education aides are being pulled to provide support to the SPED department, and this situation is leading to a strain on our staff as we attempt to cover these gaps ourselves. Due to this shortage, our intervention and ELD departments have been unable to commence with their much needed services. Teachers are increasingly concerned about when the essential support for our students will become available. The aides who are available are stretched thin, being pulled in multiple directions, and as a result are struggling to manage their responsibilities effectively. This situation raises an urgent question. Why is it so difficult to hire and retain our aides? Why can't we find a way to better value and compensate them so that they don't have to consider positions with higher pay in other fields or as substitutes? It is disheartening to see our aides, who are integral to the daily functioning of our campuses, feeling sad, defeated, exhausted, and in some unfortunate cases, facing difficult and unsafe conditions. We must address this issue with urgency and seriousness. Our aides are crucial to our educational environment, and their well-being directly impacts our ability to provide quality education. It is essential that we come together to find solutions that will both recognize their invaluable contributions and ensure they are adequately supported and compensated. I know that I heard that you said that this is being discussed, so I wrote this before I knew that. Well, ChatGPT helped me write this before I knew that. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I didn't know that I had a timer too. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It is within your power, because you have a lot of power, to make a significant change. And I urge you to take action to demonstrate to our aides, who, you know how I get emotional, that they are valued members of our educational community. Let's give them a round of applause, because they are the ones who deserve it. Thank you. Thank you.
You get emotional about the right things.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. And you make me do that. Dr. Chris. Seriously.
Okay, CSCA, where are you? Okay, thank you, Heather. Board member comments. Peter.
Yeah, you can do it first.
Oh, I don't have too much to say other than happy birthday, Chris.
Well, thank you.
Birthday.
Yesterday. Yesterday.
Oh,
Yesterday?
Oh, wow.
Oh, today?
oh, we could sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chris and Jessica. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you. I've never had that happen at a board meeting.
Only in Mayberry.
Yeah, only in May.
You're special.
All right, Peter.
Other than that, I'm on workers' comp, so I've been enjoying walking to school every day, killing time and waving to the kids, talking to Eric. It's pretty fun. and then we hear you about special ed, and I won't steal your thunder, so I'll let Chris take that.
Okay, but tell them what the kids complained to you about today.
Oh, I didn't bring Ranger today, so I got in trouble. They all want to meet the dog. They don't know me, but they know my dog.
Thanks, Peter. Stephanie?
Great. Well, there's a lot going on, and I just do want to acknowledge, too, it wasn't that many weeks ago that we started school, and there was a lot of, really good energy and optimism and a lot of activities and a lot of connection. I know we had the park hangout was the first annual event to kind of bring together the Spreckels school. We had back to school night, so just a lot of good activities that I think really helped build our community, and so I think that's really important, and I wanted to acknowledge that and be able to speak to that. With that said, we are now fully in the school year, and there are some challenges that are coming to light, and I think we're hearing you, and I think that's priority, and also recognizing there's many different stakeholders, and many different stakeholders have different perspectives. So when we hear from families and parents, when we hear from youth as well, and then also from our teachers and staff. So keep sharing your voice. It's important for us to hear so that we can then do what our job is up here. So thank you.
All right. I don't have any comments, but I want to move on to the next piece, which is oral and written communications. And we got an email from one of our longtime special ed aides, and she was addressing problems that we're aware of at this point in the meeting. And we've given guidance to the superintendent to address some of these things because they're personnel. I can't give you specifics yet, but actions speak louder than words, and you're going to see some actions this next week. So that. And then we also have a letter from the Monterey County Office of Education saying that we're going to have an election for a new board member, and at this point no candidates have filed for election for the one open at-large seat. So we're going to have to go through that process.
Yeah, it's on the agenda of how we're going to do that.
Okay. Board member, superintendent report.
Okay, so tomorrow is the official 1 month marker. So we wrapped up a month, and I think it's been very positive. I agree. There's a lot of good vibes out there. But yes, we have issues. Without giving too much about the personnel, this is not an issue that's dividing us. We all agree that it has to be dealt with. It has to be dealt with swiftly and seriously. And I appreciate the board's generous direction back there. And so we will get things going tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have more players in place really soon, and the ones that are there might be happier that they're there too. So that's kind of the plan. Right? I want to thank also our parent groups and our equity committee. They kind of tag team at the beginning of the year, actually before the year started, and hosted 2, 3, 4 kind of community get-togethers that were very well received. Opportunities for families, new and returning, to kind of see each other before school started. I've had quite a few parents, especially Buena Vista, say, even though they've been, in the district for 6 or 7 years, they all have that sense of anxiety before the first day, as we all do. And seeing their friends and being on campus the day before actually alleviated a lot of that. So thank you, Stephanie and the equity committee for suggesting it. It was fun. Measure O is our official bond measure. Odella, we named it after. They assign you a letter, and it's on the November 5th ballot, and things have kind of we've been to this process, getting it board approved in August. Now the next 2 months, that's when things get real, and there's certain things that the district can and cannot do. So I kind of want to go over those before we get into what we are going to do. For the most part, the district cannot advocate for its own measure in public or in a district office as a district official, but you can on your own. You can campaign away, you could advocate your way either direction. what the district can do is use resources for information dissemination. So, for example, this frequently asked questions about Measure O will be shared with parents in the community. We passed out some of these at the Spreckels Back to School Night. We're going to be sending out 3 informational flyers over the course. We have a bond consultant that kind of tells us when it should happen and how. So we're following their advice. They're the same consultant that guided us through 2 successful bond measures in the past. Things are different now in politics, and so they shared that our bond surveyed well, but that's no guarantee. There's a lot of work to do. So again, as a board member, you can, as a private citizen, you could sign all you way, pro or con, but when you are in school district, we have to be very, very neutral. And
I could blast it out on Facebook?
your personal individual's Facebook, yes. Yeah, and so again, if we could get a citizens group that raised money, they could do advocacy and campaigning, and that's all gonna be rolled out in the next few weeks. But I did want to kind of give you an update of where we're at. It's going. I mean, we're down to like the last month and a half, so it's going to get momentum's going to pick up from here. So that's it on the soup side. On the BV.
Wait! I've got a theme song for you.
What's that?
Back in the saddle again. Okay,
That's a
there you go.
principal. He's been kind of sending me principal memes, kind of toying with me throughout the year. But here's the joke. Here's the admission. I really like it again. I mean, I like being a principal again. So thank you for the staff. I felt 100% support. This group of kids is one of the best. I mean, again, I've seen 29 generations of BV kids, and this is really one of the best ones. They're very kind. They're hard work. I mean, it's a reflection of our sorry, of our community. But they come with strong values. They say please and thank you, and yes, they like Ranger more than they like me and Peter. But that's what happens with dogs.
Yeah.
But they're great kids, and I think he's gonna have a hard time going back to work, because I've always said the first 20 minutes of my job are the best, because that's when I get to meet the kids. You're gonna miss it.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and so
Just a
it's.
heads up, I will not be there.
Oh, all right. Well, just drop off Ranger.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. But I really have enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of things start out.
We'll take the dog and
Yeah,
the back.
she will too. Yeah.
I'll bring him.
Speaking of Miss Owens, she's our AD. I want to give her a shout out because we have 40% of our Buena Vista kids signed up for a sport, whether volleyball, soccer, or cross country. And she had to be talked into, coerced, bribed to take on the AD role again. But thank you, do a great job. You're making it easy for everyone. She's digitized a lot of the forms that were copied and passed out before. So far our teams they look pretty solid and they're having fun, so that's great. Yeah. In other extracurriculars, yesterday we kicked off our jazz club. We have a professional saxophonist that comes on Wednesdays now that meets. Yesterday was I guess it was a true quartet. There's 4 of them. But we're gonna hopefully grow it. Kids like it a lot, and we're gonna start art as well. There's art signups, and I think every student that signed up will get a rotation of art, so nobody was turned away, which was nice. We're also planning 2 big field trips. The 6th graders are busy fundraising for science camp, and that takes place in February. And our 8th graders are going to have their first ever overnighter to Sacramento in January, and Miss Jones is doing most of that. So can you give us just real quick details of where we're at, what we're going to do, what the kids will do?
So first of all, we got our Hamilton tickets. That happened on Monday. So Eric and I were tag teaming
On the phone.
the phone
Redial,
calls.
redial, redial.
Sales open, yeah. So I mean, the kids, did you get it, Mrs. Jones? Did you get it? So we'll leave Wednesday, January 15th at 8 a.m. On that day, we're going to tour the Capitol, and we have some connections to speak for Rivas. So we're going to get some VIP treatment. We aren't quite sure what that means yet. I think I already mentioned some of this, so sorry if I'm repeating myself. But that's exciting. There's also on that day other attractions. Other Sport, for example, is one of them. Vietnam War Memorial. That's the night we go to Hamilton, so there'll be dinner in between. We're staying at Embassy Suites. And then on Thursday, there's 2 simulation experiences, the Heading West program and then the Underground tour. So both of those have actually been booked.
probably about 10 who've been in communication with us who just need some help registering. So we are going to send a good old-fashioned paper note, Brianna, plug your ears, with the registration letter, because we want to just do some targeted information so that we can help those kids individually, those families. And then we'll send out an email to all 8th grade families next, probably Tuesday-ish, just letting them know where we are at. The fundraiser that they signed up for ends on the 18th, so that's next Wednesday. There's some students who've already raised all of the money they need for the trip. And we have some other opportunities happening this year, bake sale type things at sporting events, to try to generate some more financial support. The district is also willing to support kids who have financial need. I think 50% or something, right, Dr. Trello?
20%, yeah.
20%, okay. So anyway, it's looking great. I mean, it's happening. So that's really exciting. I'm happy for them. And again, the Sacramento trip might become an annual thing. It's great. Why not?
Let me clarify the 20%. These 2 trips, no child will not go because of finances. Some will choose not to for other reasons. But thanks to the board and our stakeholders who actually came up with the idea, we have a line item in our LCAP that puts scholarship money for our unduplicated students, our English learners, our low income and foster youth. So that's a 20% of our students. So we have that designation. It's not 20% for all kids, but the ones who need it can be paid fully. And we'll talk to the parents, but again, no student will not go due to finances, which is nice. And it's nice to see the LCAP. That's a direct LCAP to family kind of connection.
Good. Great. Okay, Ms. O'Hara.
Hello. I also used Chat GPT to help me here. So good. Okay. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone at the district for your continued support and positivity. Over the past few weeks, we have faced some challenges, but the teamwork and dedication displayed by everyone on campus and in the district has been truly inspiring. Everyone has stepped up, everyone covered where needed and worked together for the benefit of the students in the school. I'm incredibly grateful and proud to be part of such a committed team here at Spreckels. We've had several highlights recently too. Our first professional development session with Chartwell was a great success, and Mrs. Ball will speak to that later. Student council is gearing up with many enthusiastic students filling out their applications. PTO has kicked off their first fall fundraiser, hosted a popular free popsicle day that the kids really liked, along with all of the family events that they've had already in the parent groups and all of the committees and stuff. It's really been a really positive involvement with everybody. Teachers have wrapped up the beginning of year DIBELS testing and are preparing for small groups and getting that going. And our after school programs also are starting up, and there's a lot of kids really eager to participate. So it's been nice to see so many kids signing up for after school things. So thank you all for your hard work and dedication, and together we continue to make a positive impact.
Great. Thank you. Did you get
No, I
applause after
didn't.
your report?
No, I didn't get applause for that one either.
Okay.
Now he's counting.
Yeah. I'm just paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anybody from the foundation, or go ahead.
I think I'm the only one.
You're the Bobcat.
No.
Presentation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nina Haro Cordero. I am the president of the Bobcat Club this year. I graduated. I've been a part of PTO for about, I was on the board for like 6 years at Spreckels. So I've moved on. I have a son who graduated here. He's a sophomore at Salinas High. I have a daughter who's a 7th grader at BV. I have a 5th grader at Spreckels and a 2nd grader at Spreckels. So I've been through it here. So I wanted to kind of give an overview of Bobcat Club. I feel like it is kind of maybe one of the parent groups that isn't as well understood as as maybe PTO is. So I just wanted to kind of give a little overview of what we do. This is our executive board this year. Becky Rodriguez, Patricia Armrum's our treasurer, Heather's our secretary, and we've added a social media manager this year because it was very needed. So that's Here's just our mission statement, just so everyone kind of has an idea. It's basically to provide financial support for a lot of the programs and events that happen at BV, materials, items, educational experiences, and in particular the sports at BV is what we support. So we are a non-profit, so all donations that come to us are tax deductible. We are the main funding source for all sports at BV. We pay for everything except for the coaches' stipends, basically, and that's for all sports that we offer. We rely most heavily on the sports participation donation, so parents give us a donation for their child to participate in sports. We have concessions and entry fees; those also help fund us, as well as our membership dues. So that's where we get the bulk of our fundraising money. We also supply $10,000 a year for every BV teacher on campus to get basic supplies like papers and pencils and folders and things like that. So we raise quite a bit of money to cover all of these expenses. We have seen declining participation in volunteering and donating since COVID. I think across all parent groups that's kind of been an issue. Just a lot. Our economy is a lot right now, and it's hit families really hard. So this year we did add a volunteer requirement and a buyout option for sports programs. So it was a $50 participation fee with 2 hours of fundraising or 2 hours of volunteering, or $100 flat fee. We got a lot of people actually that chose the $100 buyout, which, you know, I get it, right? Like we don't have time. So at this point in our fundraising year, we've raised as much in our sports participation fees this fall as we have all of last year. So it worked. It's been working. We do have more volunteers than we did in the past. We're still always looking for more, but we have gotten more parents to volunteer. We are also making changes to our budget to focus on our needs that best fit our organization. So moving forward, our budget has been in a deficit for several years, probably since COVID, which means we are spending more than we're making as an organization. We anticipate that we're not going to be able to meet our budgeted needs this year or future years after this unless we adjust or fundraise more. So our executive board has decided that we will no longer fund field trip transportation as one of our line items in our budget. We have funded field trip transportation costs for the last many years. We will be offering the district a partial payment this year, but will not be including it on the 25-26 budget for our organization. We're also considering cutting other categories in our budget if we can't keep it balanced. It's really important that we aren't overspending over the long run. And so we're hopeful. And like I said, this year we've already started making more money, which has been great. We are trying to be more transparent and clear about our goals. I think a lot of parents didn't even know what Bobcats does, or that we do fund so much and so many programs. So I think with that and getting more fundraisers and increasing volunteering this year, we can really make a difference and hopefully get to the funding situation that we'd like to be in. But it's been great so far. Everything we've kind of worked on is coming to fruition, and I'm hoping that it's going to be positive. We've gone online with a lot of things. All of our payments are online now. So we've really worked hard to try and streamline everything and make it easier for parents to participate and be a part of the organization.
So if we wanted to join or make a donation to the Bobcat Club, how do we do that?
I can send you the link to the website that you can put as much as you want in that little box.
Yeah,
yes.
Please do. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody from the foundation or PTO? Nope. Okay, moving ahead. Bernard. Oh, Andy, facilities.
This is like Andy's last report.
My last report, and he was going to skip me over.
I just look for Bernard.
See how quickly they forget.
Sorry.
I know. They're like, oh, he's out of here. Well, usual solar update. Good news. Buena Vista is going to get turned on the 17th. I got the email today, between 1 and 5 p.m. So, our
start seeing
fingers
things
crossed.
start spinning back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the meter's going to go backwards and the money's going to start going back into the account, right? And then at the Spreckels project, we're still waiting for the DSA approval for the repairs to the crookedness and all that stuff. And then after that, then they'll continue on with the connection for that one. But I presume it'll be several months before that happens. But I'll still be in contact with them throughout that whole process. So just until we can transition to find someone to replace me. Shouldn't be too hard.
That's not true.
Yeah.
It's just been.
I mean, I was here only here for 14 months. It was a great experience for me. I met a lot of nice people. I've made friendships that will last a lifetime. Everybody here is great. But, you know, I was offered another job, and it just my wife wanted.
I was wondering how long that would last.
Heather wanted a kitchen remodel, so you know I got to make more money.
You're being recorded.
All right, thanks.
But thank you,
Thank you.
Yeah.
For everything, really. Thank you. Now, Bernard, food service.
So things are rolling right along. I've observed some meal services at both of the campuses, and the staff is doing just a wonderful job making sure to remind kids to get their vegetables in and not to skip food when they're hungry and things. So that's all great to see. We've had some equipment failure, so we will be looking to purchase an upright freezer for here at Spreckels, which they desperately need. That'll facilitate the use of our ability to do a salad bar at that campus, which is much anticipated. A little bit of staff hesitancy about extra work and what that may mean for them, so we'll have to just kind of plan very carefully to make sure that they're not left, you know, not being able to produce. But other than that, everything's good. Off to a really good start this year, and hopefully now that the dust is starting to settle from getting back to school, we'll send out some solicitations for parent and student participation, as well as staff participation on nutrition council.
Great.
For lack of a better term.
Yeah, it'd be a real shame for this district not to have a salad bar. Huh? I mean,
It is.
of all places, yeah.
And hopefully we can work with some of our agriculture partners to kind of take ours to the next level, maybe do something unique. So that's it for food service, unless you have any questions.
Nope. Transportation, you doing that?
I do. Heather, do you want to? Heather does a wonderful job keeping that a very difficult situation.
Hello. So it's been a little rough beginning of the year, just trying to accommodate everybody that we can in our 3 buses with our 3 drivers. I'm doing a lot of taking from one bus to try and put them on another bus to just accommodate everybody that we can. So it's a process. It's getting closer. Hopefully by next week when things kind of settle down, I'll have a little bit more idea of where I can move kids around. But please know I'm doing everything I can to accommodate everybody. 2 our buses that hold 72 kids, that's like 72 kindergartners or TKers, first graders, but that's not when you have 50 middle schoolers. We can usually only fit like 2 per seat. Some people kind of forget that sometimes, but I'm hoping I have a small waiting list it's primarily the bus that drops off here at Spreckels because we have so many middle schoolers that come from BB over here, and those are the bigger kids. So I'm moving things around to make it work. So hopefully by next week I'll have nobody on the waiting list. I do like the idea of participation. Perhaps we could offer a discount to parents if they want to ride the bus with me morning and afternoon for like a week and see how all of that goes. That might be kind of worth a discount possibly. All kidding aside, it's going. I mean, it's up and down. So anyway, hopefully we'll get somebody to apply. I know that we haven't had a lot of luck with that, but that's nobody's fault. It's just a lot of districts still suffering with lack of bus drivers. No one wants to become a bus driver anymore, and a lot of people who have been are just not renewing or retiring out. So we're still working. I'm still holding a class next week, and every time we have a class, I'm try to put in the good word, and hopefully somebody will apply. But it's just day by day. So anyway, thank you.
I like that fundraising idea. So it's $50 to ride the bus with you, and $100 if you don't want to ride. Yeah.
To opt out.
Yeah.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And just one additional piece to add. So we will be able to now take online payments, which is a convenience factor for parents. And it won't just be for transportation, for science camp, for other endeavors that we do. So we're happy to finally catch up to last century on that regard. But we're just waiting we got to roll it out next week and just kind of talk about how we're going to do it. It's available in the parent portal. So the parents just go to transactions, and then they're able to actually select what they want to pay.
Okay.
So it's going to be nice.
Great.
And cut down on some administrative overhead as well, which will be very good.
Thanks.
And Heather's modest. She does a tremendous job at figuring out all our transportation problems.
For sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Heather. Dr. Bree, are you coming to do the technology?
Yep.
Remember to press the button.
I did not use ChatGPT or Gemini to write my update. Okay, good evening. So I'm just going to provide a little update on some of the new technology that we've rolled out over the last month. I mean, view boards, as we've been talking about for years now, it seems. They are installed in all the classrooms. It went smoothly. Teachers had their training for back to school. The feedback that I got from the trainers was overwhelmingly supportive. I know that I was at Spreckels with Amanda, and Dr. Trollo was with Jared at BV to learn about them also so that we can support. There was a lot of good feedback about the presenters themselves. They were former teachers, so they were very enthusiastic, and they were good trainers compared to some other trainers that you get from other companies. The resources that the trainers provided were sent out in the newsletter so that teachers could go back and access them. And Jared and I have been walking around campus. We've been seeing teachers use them. We've been supporting teachers when they need help troubleshooting, if their casting is not working or their HDMI cord is not working, and things like that. We're also, we still have some hours with ViewSonic, so we're thinking about in the spring doing a follow-up training, maybe a session, like a refresher for people that maybe want to do the basic training again, and then have like a second group of people that maybe want to do the more advanced one, because we still have hours left. So we are looking into that. We had to buy new dot cams for the projectors because the Elmos no longer work with them. There was some issues with the dot cams and blurriness, but that can really be fixed by fixing the resolution. There was information about that also sent out in the newsletter, and Jared and I are also walking around and able to help anybody, and they can email us. And I mean, he's usually at BV and I'm usually here, so we're pretty quick at getting support to people when they need it. The next thing that we rolled out was secure printing with paper cut. So all the printers now have paper cut. Teachers were given their 4-digit code. So they still have their classroom printers. They can print to those like they used to, but all the copiers have a 4-digit code. We're hoping that this helps eliminate paper waste and cost, and also secure documents. Last year there was lots of instances of information that shouldn't have been printed left out on a printer that didn't need to be sitting around. So teachers print to the cloud, they walk up to any copier, they type in their 4-digit code, and they release their job when they're there. Again, directions were sent out in the newsletter, and they were also placed in their box. And I mean, as with anything new, they got to remember their 4-digit code. So we've been getting a lot of emails like, I lost my paper, I don't remember my code. So Jared and I can easily and quickly give them their code. Another concern that came up was substitute support. So with the new view boards, it's kind of changed the way that subs can use like the dot cams in the classroom. So Jared has been working on getting sub Chromebooks set up at both sites that have the extension for the VCast and the dot cams. And then he also made a little 1-page write-up. So we're going to laminate that and put it in a folder with the Chromebook, so that when the sub gets it, they have their directions, and they'll be able to use the dot cam and cast to the board. And then the last thing is just multi-factor, which we've also been talking about for a while. The deadline for teachers is going to be October 1st. So we've been walking around at the end of school and checking in one-on-one with everybody and helping them get set up and comfortable with using it so that we can make sure our stuff is secure. I just last weekend was at my CTO mentorship class, and it was all about cybersecurity, and it's a scary world out there. And like I say, we are resource rich and we are resource poor and data rich. So we're easy targets. So overall, I think it's been pretty successful. There's been some bumps in the road, but you know, Jared and I are here and willing to help as you know we're around and people can reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that comment about artificial intelligence workshop, you've got plenty going on. I didn't mean that to sound like a command, but I'd love to hear more about that, you know, if you can figure out a way to do it.
And I appreciate Ms. Jones inviting me. It was fun to go.
Yeah.
Jared and I like collaborated on the lesson, and it was fun to be back in the classroom. I think it's been like 4 years or more since 5 years since I've been in the classroom. So it was kind of reinvigorating to be in a classroom.
Yeah.
So
Oh, you could use the same lesson plan. I'm about fifth
I'm
grade.
gonna
Yeah.
I'm gonna be going to Miss Martignoni's in a couple weeks to do the same lesson for her 8th graders. So
Great.
yeah,
Well,
fun.
Okay, thank you. Bernard, fund report.
Everyone's favorite.
Everyone's favorite.
So what I've decided to do is not bore you with the PowerPoint showing the year-to-year contrast, because I don't think it's really, you know, helping us make decisions. So what I wanted to do is just show you a new report that I added this time if you happen to look. So this is the normal fund balance report that we give you. That just kind of shows you the activity and what was budgeted. But for your own edification, there's a new report. And this is the statement of revenues and expenditures. So this gives you the detail to what you're seeing up above. So if you were to look at the fund report for Fund 01 and you were looking at the revenue section, this is the page that relates to that. You would see that we had received 1.5 million in LCFF money. You would see 132,000 from other state revenues, and then you would see that local revenue of 53,678. This just gives you a little bit more detail about what those other numbers mean. And as you go through it, you can go then, when you go to your expenditure detail, you can get a much better breakdown of what makes up those categories. So it'll just hopefully, you know, make it a little easier to read those reports and understand what's actually going on. As far as performance and everything, you know, it's the typical start of the year. Right now, we still have to get our carryover for our beginning balances once the books are fully closed. We've got a final hiring budget that we need to produce, and then we'll be rolling into first interim is really where it gets real. So I wouldn't put too much stock right now. I mean, everything's going to look really good right now, but we need to get some things trued up, get it set, and then start really holding ourselves to what we have budgeted this year.
But you're not seeing anything here that causes you undue stress or alarms other than moving forward?
Not at all.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I was fortunate enough to overtake a budget that's built pretty soundly.
Okay.
And put me in pretty good position despite the difficult times that we've gone through and that we're heading into. So I think we're well positioned to deal with it as long as we look at our data and we make wise decisions. Okay. And so far, there's no indication that anyone throughout the district is looking to not spend wisely.
Okay, great. Class configurations?
Yeah, not much has changed, but I want to thank Jennifer that our enrollment projections were pretty close to who showed up, right? Maya has 5 or 6 kids, and, you know, they may have not showed up, but 5 or 6 did come in, so everything balanced out really nicely. We're still declining enrollment, which is one of those tough times that Bernard alluded to, but as far as knowing who's going to show up, thank you. we were not surprised.
So anything here that we need to?
No, it's what we expected. You know, in the grades 2nd through 5th, they're higher than we'd like, but the alternative was to be extremely low, like 6th grade. Again, it's what we expected.
Okay.
We're fully staffed, which is great.
And our CBEST Day, right? Am I using the right?
Yeah.
That's coming up, right? It's October.
It's the first Tuesday, Wednesday.
First Wednesday.
Do we have that circled,
Celebration.
marked? Like, do we have something exciting
We're
happening?
setting
Are we?
it up. Now,
Okay.
on that day, is it the kids that show up, or just it's our enrollment that day? It's our enrollment that day. So there's really
Oh.
the ice cream party's not going to do anything for us.
Great to still encourage people to come because it's attendance, right? But it's the
Yeah.
number of kids enrolled on that day.
So if we know anybody between now and then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's when you want to bring them in, exactly.
Oh, bummer. All right.
Hopefully that number will change when Amazon goes. Yeah.
Yes.
It's planned.
Okay, treasurer report?
Yeah, so I won't pull it up for you, but essentially, the economy's slowly improving. We still have our fund inverted investment curve, meaning that our lower term or short-term investments are producing a higher yield.
Hmm.
The problem with those short-term investments is they carry a little more risk. And so the county is, from what I can tell, doing a very good job of investing, which is putting money back into our coffers, and we'll see some of that when we show where we're at for the unaudited actuals. But all signs are pointing that we're trending towards that 2% Fed rate that the Fed really desperately wants, which will boost a lot of sectors, especially housing and anything that requires loans. And that's all good, positive things for all of us.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so we got an action item. I need a motion to approve the 2023 or 23-24 unaudited actuals, including presentation of balances in excess of minimum reserve requirements.
I'll second.
Thank you. Bernard?
Okay, so I'm going to take you through, we'll go through it quick because last time I think I put everybody to sleep with a really long one. So we're not going to do that today, but there are some important things that I want to highlight. So we'll just go through a summary of the general fund, look at the revenues and expenditures, we'll look at our ending fund balance and where we're earmarking our dollars. We'll take a quick look at some historical data for revenues and expenditures just to give you some context. And then we'll look forward towards the first interim and the things that we need to still do to get really ready and sound for the year. So these are our revenues. So you've got three columns there that are important to look at. So the 23-24 estimated actuals, those are the numbers that were published to you when we adopted our budget. So that was based on you haven't done anything to close your books. This is just raw actual data. That's where we were. Second column is that unaudited actuals. So this has all been trued up now. We've gone through actually finding out exactly what our revenue sources are here. And so you can see there, LCFF coming in a little bit higher, mainly through property taxes and some other items there. Federal revenues a little bit higher, and that's just because some revenue wasn't necessarily going to be recognized, but we were able to expend all of our one-time ESSER funds, which was good. Other state revenues, those have gone down. That's largely the result of the money we have to give back for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, unfortunately, to the tune of about $567,000.
Yeah, the additional COVID funds that we.
No, that's just for the state's Expanded Learning Opportunities. So that's the program that requires us to operate a 9-hour school day, 210 days a year. So an extra 30 on top of the regular school year. And it's very difficult. There's a lot of districts that are not finding themselves able to operate. And they penalize you for every day you don't.
Okay, thank you.
So that's what that is. And so then you can see there, so our total revenues came in about $187,000 higher just through the closing process and going through all of that, which is good. So a couple of those parts, just to kind of, which we just kind of went through. The modest increase in property taxes, the ESSER one-time recognition. We had STRS on behalf, which is just a number that basically hits your revenue and hits your expenses in equal numbers, but it's money that you have to account for STRS every year. That Expanded Learning Opportunities Program, that's what we are giving back that we were never be able to use, so $500,000. no fault of ours. It's just the way the legislation was written that makes it very difficult. And then we had not budgeted for the Prop 28 arts music, which we did get. So that 113,000 that we're closing is going to carry over into this year. 80% has to be used on salaries. And it cannot supplant. It's a supplement, not supplant funding. But it will be ongoing every year until they decide to write it out of the legislator. So it's part of our allocation. And then just other local, you know, we had some interest money come in a little bit higher than we had budgeted for, which is good, and that's just a reflection of the economy and those investments that we talked about. And then field trip and other charges, it's kind of hard to really gauge what you're gonna bring in local revenue-wise in that area. So that's where we're at there. Now expenses, the other side of the equation. So you can see here that our certificated salaries came in a little bit lower, which is good. Our classified salaries increased a little, but that's just partly a reflection of we had the board clerk payroll position. That was an elevation in cost there. Some overtime with doing payroll processing and just some other positions. So not a big difference. That's a fairly small amount of difference given the amount of salary. Employee benefits, most of that money that you see there, that increase is really from the STRS on behalf. More than half of it is coming straight out of our STRS on behalf increased this year quite a bit. And so that just hits the books. Nothing to really worry about there. Books and supplies, this is, you know, you can see what we saved. And that's just from the district really tightening the bootstraps and people not, you know, asking for things that they didn't absolutely need. So that was great, good discipline. Same thing there on the operating expenses. And in fact, if you go from that number of 772, 766 and go straight down to the bottom, you can see that that's basically what put money back into our fund, was being able to reduce these expenses. So again, we just kind of went through that. And one other hit that you didn't see reflected on there, but it's in those numbers, is we had not budgeted for the second annual payment. So every year for the foreseeable future, we'll be making 2 payments to the bank on the interest and principal for the solar project. So that's what those numbers are.
But the money's going to start rolling in, right, Andy?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Andy says they're going to be rolling backwards and money coming in the coffers.
Okay.
So that brings us to the fund balance side of things, right? And so estimated actuals versus unaudited, and really the big takeaway here for anyone is if you look down at that bottom line, total unrestricted general fund, there's your increase. That's your $770,000 increase, which is good rolling into a year where we were expecting about $700,000 less in revenues. Kind of nice how that works out. So we're pretty well positioned rolling into the year as a result of that. Get a little more detail here. You can see we started with a fund balance. We get down there. We did have a negative fair market value of the cash, but not as large as prior year. Left us with $7.4 million. And then you start to look, some of it's non-spendable. We cannot spend that revolving fund. We have to always keep that at $2,500. Restricted monies, that's money also. We cannot earmark it for any other use. It has to be used for those programs listed that you see there. And then we are required by law to withhold 4% in our fund for economic uncertainties. That's $502,000 right there that you see. And then the rest of that leaves us with $5,278 and $269 in kind of the fund, if you will. And just sticking to what we've earmarked in the past, no real changes as of right now. That 753 is an additional 6%. So we effectively hold 10% in case of economic uncertainty so that we can meet several months of payroll and keep the lights on, should that ever happen. And then you can see we've still got those solar relocation change orders. We had a second one added towards the end of the year. That will have to come from general fund. It cannot be refinanced. And then the rest of those, you see those 4 that are part of the lottery funds that we've had earmarked there. Compensated absences, that's a number that we have to calculate as a liability essentially. If everybody was to suddenly need to be repaid their vacation balances, that's what that number represents. Facility repair, that's kind of where we've, may be able to free some areas up there if Measure O passes.
If we get the bond, yeah.
Right? And put it into some other areas. That underground storage tank, we've still got that corner over here at Spreckels waiting to be beautified or something done with it. That's the only thing we can do with that money. It was given to us from the Superfund when I guess they took the gas tanks out from the old transportation yard. And then, of course, the district-wide painting project is another one that we may be able to release should we be able to get Measure O passed, which would be nice because that's money that could go back in for other uses. So that's the fund balance. And then if we just look at this another way, just so you kind of know what components make up our revenue, LCFF is just our major thing. It's what makes this district tick, and that's why enrollment is important as well as ADA, right? So 2 different fronts. 1, getting them to come to school, and 2, then getting them to come daily to school. So 2 challenges there. And then, of course, your federal revenues, those are going to go down quite a bit because we don't have the ESSER money going into the new year. And then other state revenues, again, bolstered by some of that ELOP money that all has to go away. But there you see a nice, healthy total revenue. Expenditure side, a little bit more, again, one dominant area, salaries and benefits, right? Good solid 70% of those expenses there, almost 80%. And so there's not a lot of flexibility. We're reaching that point where we're not going to have a lot of money to trim. And so we need to really start, preparing how we're going to tackle going forward. And then just some balance sheet items. So balance sheet is just kind of what your worth is.
Right.
So you can see we have a pretty healthy cash position in the treasury, $7.9 million, which is a really good position to be in. It means we don't need to worry about borrowing money short term to pay our bills, like some districts do find themselves in sometimes. Accounts receivable, that number jumped up quite a bit. Again, that's a reflection of that ELOP money that we talked about. And then, of course, as we go down to the liabilities, this is money we owe. We're actually on the receivables. A big portion of that is actually payroll from the July payroll, so that'll get written out. And then we have our payables. So same kind of difference there. Just some one-time big hits that we knew we had to do, that we had to true up for closing, that otherwise were not in there. The due to other funds, that's your cafeteria fund to make it whole for last year. That'll get taken care of once the books are closed. I'll do the journal entries and that'll go away. And so you can see right now, assets far outweigh our liabilities.
Yeah.
Fund makes up the difference. That's
Great.
what you're seeing there. Oops. Special education, just wanted to highlight it. It remains underfunded. This is true of every school district in the state of California, if not the United States. We get a very small amount of federal revenue. State revenue, again, in terms of total cost, is very small. And you can see that general fund contribution right there. And so, again, as we talk about getting more aides, making sure wages are well, that's going to just drive up that contribution amount. So just something to keep an eye on. Just look at the other funds real quick. Student fund activity. So that's right now the bank account's sitting at $7,800, which is a good healthy balance for that. Nutrition fund, you can see there, it largely operates fully funded, zero balance typically. This year we just had a small amount that'll just get subsumed in this current year budget. Deferred maintenance is one we haven't really been doing anything with for quite some time because we haven't been contributing to it and haven't had a need to. sits there until we feel we need to dip into that. This is the last bond, basically, in this particular budget. You can see we spent a lot of it down this last year, and we still have $87,100.
But that 87,000's encumbered, as it were.
It's pretty much encumbered, yeah. That's about what Brianna's battery backup project is going to run. So we'll take that, and that bond will
expire.
Cease to exist, yep, and we'll hopefully roll into a new one. Developer fees, we continue to collect these. We actually did do a study. There was just some problems with the data that they had for the study, but essentially we can now charge even higher rates as a result of that. So instead of 45,000, we probably brought in about 70,000 with the new rates. Very difficult to use this money unless you're building new construction, but it can be used for portable. And then just to kind of go through, poor Red, he hears me. So the historical revenues, just to kind of give you an idea from the last 4 years. Give you an idea, you can see really the only real change is in other state revenue. That's this year, and that's really the reflection of that ELOP money that we are returning. There's your expenditures. Again, you can see it's pretty, every category looks pretty much the same, pretty much homostasis from year to year. Just the values change a little bit. And then looking into the first interim, so what are we going to do as we exit this budget? We're going to be getting our carryover balances brought over, so that means some programs will actually have a little bit more money available as a result of that. Your budget updates, we'll get budget updates from all the program expenditures, so talking to the people that run the various programs, seeing what their real needs are now that they've started the school year, and we'll adjust. Budgets for transportation, we'll see how many writers we have and if anything needs to be done there. Staffing and salary adjustments, that's a big one, and then of course anything that comes out of the county's review of the unaudited actuals and audits will all get reflected in the next budget revision. And that's really it. And there's the
Nice
picture
photo.
I found of the drag out there. So any questions?
Yeah, so the bottom line that I'm hearing is that all that hard work that we did in budgeting at the beginning reflects well in what we actually ended up doing. I mean,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it shows you that collectively as a district, we can come together when it's needed and do the right thing. And position ourselves very well going into this difficult year.
okay. So now that we've pulled together last year, let you and I get together a presentation to go out
We're
to the
ready
teachers.
for our show.
Great.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, so we've got a motion. All in favor to approve these unaudited actuals, blah, blah, blah. Please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 3-0-2. Okay, motion to approve by roll call vote the resolution 2425/7 GAN limit.
I'll second.
Okay,
So GAN limits it's a process we have to go through. It was legislated back at Prop 13 to really keep spending, inflation-adjusted spending at levels that are not greater than 1978-79.
any questions? Okay, so we'll vote, I vote aye. Peter?
Aye.
And Stephanie?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0-2. Motion to approve resolution 2425-8 cafeteria fund transferal.
I motion to move.
Second.
And that's just to get money over into Fund 13 so we can operate the nutrition program.
Yeah, that was the numbers that you pointed out to us in the presentation. Okay, I'm a yes. Peter?
Yes.
And Stephanie?
Aye.
I was supposed to ask if you have any questions first, but sorry, I forgot. Okay, bullying prevention program.
Whether they know it or not, one of the first joint projects we'll have with the teachers in charge is to talk about a comprehensive bullying prevention program. Mrs. Jones already reached out and made some calls to get some speakers in here, but I think if we look at it like a district TK through 8 continuum of what steps and what kind of presentations, what messages we're giving kids, I think we'll be more successful if it's tight and comprehensive. So, yes.
And Washington Union I believe is very interested in collaborating with us on that.
Right.
And ideally, it would be not just for students and teachers, but also for parents. So we have a multi-layered approach. That would probably be all year.
So bravo on 3 fronts. One is that this is an ongoing conversation in every district across the nation, and we're as out in front of it as we can be. I mean, that's important. 2 is that, with special ed, the numbers of these kinds of incidents are increasing all across the nation. So, this is really topical and important for us. And 3, that collaboration with another district, I think, is really smart, wherever we can do that. Us littles need to bond together.
Yeah.
So,
Share resources.
yeah, so bravo. Okay.
Kind of a comment or question.
Of course.
So, will the strategies be, something at the Spreckels level and then something at the BV site as well too, or?
Yeah, but I
as
think
opposed
start
to,
by
like,
what are we doing
broad?
right now, and does it make sense as a district? I mean, is bucket filler moving into Buena Vista's language and terminology for anti-bullying, and then look at like activities and presenters that we could do as an entire district and what's more specific to the sites.
Mhm.
And then kind of put together like a schedule throughout the year.
I know we've talked about that in the past of kind of how the lower elementary gets a lot of the bucket filling and a lot
Yeah.
of these values around anti-bullying, upstanding, et cetera, and we kind of have thought, well, then they transition on to BV as well, so they're bringing that in, and then maybe we can just kind of support that.
Right.
But then also, we see there is some attrition of some of those students coming into BV, and we have a large percentage of
New
inner
kids.
district, so they're new to our district. Not to say that, they're not, I don't know, they might be getting, some good interventions where they come from, but I think that might be something we want to consider, is that BV might need, special
true.
attention, recognizing that these students haven't gone through all those other years of Spreckels.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's true.
Good. The other thing is, yesterday, we were going to have a community conversations workshop, but my friend that was going to do that has COVID, so he couldn't come. And we're going to come back to that, this idea of having conversations both between the child and the parent and vice versa, parent, child, school administration, I think is really important. And we've talked about that once before in the district. We're going to do the basic conversations one first, and then later on in the year, the other one is to talk about difficult conversations, like are you being bullied and those kinds of things, and come back to how you can start to address that parent with their child, teacher with the, those sorts of conversations that can come on. I just think this talking to each other and not always just sending texts is very important for us, and we need to relearn that as a community. So we're going to make that a priority. All right, moving on. I need a motion to approve the Chartwell Teacher Training Institute agreement.
Motion.
Second.
At the last meeting, our parent group, the PTO, kind of shared what they're willing to do as far as, this is kind of like novel because we haven't done this before, but they're going to support our professional development, which is great, but we had to make sure our people vetted it to make sure it was supporting what we're already doing. And so this is really good. Chartwell, it's state-of-the-art science of reading, PD. Alicia, you want to take it from there? Tell them kind of how it connects to Dibbles and how it would be the next step for teachers.
Sure. So as we know, last year, thank you to the district, they provided Amplify, so thank you. And then what that does is the teachers, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year, test the students, and it gives them a breakdown of exactly how they're doing in each area. And that was really helpful, and the teachers were making small groups, but they still want it more, and especially our older, I always say our older, and Laura reminds me that older means junior high. So our 4th and 5th grade teachers were saying that they didn't really ever get taught how to teach reading, because in 4th and 5th grade, you usually were expecting kids to come in reading, and we don't see that that's the case anymore.
And so the teachers had asked at the end, Miss O'Connell and I had done some training with the staff, and they voiced that they wanted more on small groups, what to do with the kids. And so with the budget crisis, unfortunately, we kind of thought, here's the science of reading. It was pretty pricey, and PTO came down like knights in shining armor, and we're able to say, we're able to support this. And so they worked with the district and with them, and we were able to get Chartwell, which now we can say that we're like on top of, that's awesome to be like Spreckels is, already doing the science of reading. So we had our first training, what was it, last Wednesday. And once again, she was a teacher, still is a teacher, was super engaging. Started just talking about the why and how things go together with the SPED and, the dyslexia and just combining it all. And it was pretty empowering, and the feedback was really, really positive. So going forward, we have about 7 more Wednesday sessions that we're going to do. And then we have 2 PD days that the afternoon we're going to be using with them. And the goal is that after this, teachers can have those small groups and know exactly what to do with it. They don't have to create materials. It's things that you can do during the day, and we are really excited about that. And I'm excited because, there's me and my aides, but it would be nice that the teachers can start implementing it. And if we start it from, early intervention's key, so if we're starting lower grades, and then hopefully we can see this improvement. So the teachers are excited, we're excited, and we're really grateful to our PTO and to our board who, I guess you're approving it, right? I approved it? You approved it. Thank you. We already had our training. Thank you. That would have been embarrassing.
The PTO's agreed to pay 2/3 of it, so I think they're paying 10,000. We're paying 5,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like a
which
huge.
is very generous of them.
Yeah. So apparently we're not having the same problem you are. Sorry.
Thank you. It's one of these time warp things where they're already doing it, but we're going to come back and approve it on the agenda. So, okay. So, any questions from the board? All in favor of approving this Chartwell agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0-2.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can thank us. Yeah, there you go. All right, motion to approve the school site teacher in charge job description. Just a second, you can thank us again, all right?
Second.
Okay. You want to tell us about this?
This is very, very minor revisions. I think we added some language about what the expected extra time would be, as well as making sure it was clear that it was only recommended that they had 10 and 5 years of prior teaching.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3-0-2. Okay, motion to approve the school site teacher in charge salary schedule.
Motion.
Second.
The good news is they agreed to do it for free, so we don't. No. This just again reflects opening the top cells so anybody could apply.
Okay.
And they've already earned their extra money, so thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0-2. Motion to approve the 24-25 provisional internship permit application.
Motion.
Second.
Monica, this is just required of one of our brand new teachers. Yeah.
So we should approve this so that it can continue.
One of our kindergarten yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a great kindergarten teacher.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes 3-0-2. Committees updates?
I kind of mentioned this before in the superintendent's report, but the equity committee met for the second time, actually today at 4 o'clock. Laura and Stephanie and Brianna kind of collaborated on the leadership, and it was great. And again, AI made a mission statement that took us about 2 full days before, and did it in about 20 minutes, and it was pretty impressive and really good. So, yeah, you want to be there for the AI presentation for sure.
Okay. I don't know who's got the mail list. I don't think I got my memo on it. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Got me?
You're right. You didn't. You're right. Because.
Yeah. New leadership.
You're not on Parent Square.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. I sent it through Parent Square,
Yeah.
and I tried, and yes, you're not. So. I don't know how to.
He's SUSD. .net. Can he be on it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
If you guys want to, we'll bombard you with all the correspondence if you guys want it. Oh, you get it already. So
I
yeah.
get it all.
They both do. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I think he should join. I think Chris should join and get all of the messages.
Yeah.
Yes. I think you should join.
Who, okay, all in favor say aye. Oh, we're not doing that. Committee update. Okay. Anything else about committees?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to approve the first read of the June 2024 policy.
Second.
Any?
No.
This is just routine. Okay. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 302. Motion to approve the determination of process for appointment in lieu of election.
Second.
So we had 2 open board seats this coming up in November. Fortunately, we did not scare off Stephanie. It's been an interesting 4 years, but she's hung in there. She wants 4 more. So she filed paperwork. Yay, exactly. So Stephanie will be one of our returners, but Steve did his 8 years, and I think he has a lot going on in Sacramento. So his seat is open. And the way you do it now is you do an appointment. And so this is basically outlining how and when it happens. If you approve it tonight, we will advertise the open seat and the process for that. Applicants will come in, fill out an application by a certain date, and then at the next board member meeting, you would actually interview them in a public session. Chris, did you actually go through this one time in your bed? Yeah. So that's we need to do this before November 5th, though. So it's if okay tonight, we run the communications next week. Try to recruit. If you have somebody that you know would be a great board member, they need to be obviously a resident of the district, a registered voter, and I think those are the big 2. And welcome to the board.
Yeah. Just Steve's not here, but just to say in public, he was the president of the board through some of the most difficult times that I can imagine, and did a super job of not only keeping us moving, but keeping his temper. And I really want to applaud him for that.
For sure.
Okay, so let's vote on this motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 302. Someone please move the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay. Anything here?
Just again, we're gonna miss Andy. His retirement letter, there's resignation letters in there, but
Well, we could pull it out and then he not
shred it.
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you, Andy, for your work.
All in favor of approving the consent item?
Aye.
Say aye. Yeah. Motion passes 302. Anything you want to make sure that we add to the future agenda?
Just a reminder, we're back to the normal first Thursday of the month, so it's October 3rd.
Yeah. And thanks for making that change for me last month. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Motion to adjourn? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 302. Thank you all very much.